I plot my vengeful comeback after discovering my husband's affair with my best friend. I still remember the day my world unraveled. It was an ordinary Thursday, and I was in the kitchen, humming to my favorite playlist as I prepared dinner. The sun streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow that made everything feel perfect. Life was good. I had just received an email about a promotion I had been working tirelessly for, and all I could think about was how to celebrate with my husband, Mark, and my best friend, Tina. Little did I know that the universe had other plans. As I sautéed garlic and onions, I heard Mark's laughter coming from the living room. He had just gotten home from work and was diving into one of his video games, his usual way of unwinding. I loved that about him, his ability to escape reality for a bit. I finished preparing dinner and sent a quick text to Tina. Can't wait for you to join us tonight. Big news to share. I was bubbling with excitement and couldn't wait to see the look on her face when I told them. But then, just as I was about to set the table, I heard Mark's voice drift through the air. No, I can't wait to see you tonight. It'll be our little secret. I froze, spatula in hand, heart racing. Who was he talking to? Curiosity piqued, I quietly crept toward the living room, heart pounding in my chest. Peeking around the corner, I saw Mark, his back to me, phone pressed to his ear, wearing that flirtatious smile that I thought was reserved for me. I just need to keep Laura out of it for a while longer. I'll make sure she doesn't find out. Just a few more days. The words pierced through me like ice. I felt as though the floor had dropped from beneath me. My mind raced as I tried to piece it all together. The realization hit me like a freight train. He was talking to Tina. My heart shattered in an instant. The two people I loved most were conspiring behind my back. Anger surged through me, followed by a wave of disbelief. How could this happen? My mind flashed back to the countless moments I had shared with both of them, the trust I had placed in them. And now, here I stood, eavesdropping on their betrayal. I should have confronted them, demanded answers right then and there, but instead, a different feeling settled within me. A dark seed of revenge began to sprout. As I walked back into the kitchen, my heart raced, not just from anger, but from a thrilling realization I wouldn't confront them immediately. I was going to take my time. I would play the role of the supportive wife, the loyal friend, while slowly plotting my revenge. The idea of it sent chills down my spine. I felt powerful, even as I fought back tears. Tina arrived shortly after, oblivious to the chaos swirling in my mind. She swept through the door with her usual vibrant energy, hugging me tightly and chattering about her day. I forced a smile, all the while feeling like a performer on a stage, hiding my true emotions beneath a mask of feigned happiness. I had to keep up appearances for now. Hey, what's the big news? She asked, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Oh, just some exciting work stuff, I replied, keeping my voice light. I'll tell you after dinner. As we sat down to eat, I felt like I was sitting across from strangers. Mark laughed and joked with Tina, the chemistry between them palpable, while I sat quietly, pushing my food around on my plate. I was acutely aware of every glance, every laugh that passed between them, each one feeling like a knife twisting in my gut. But I held my composure, maintaining the facade of a perfect evening. After dinner, as we settled into the living room for a movie, I couldn't help but watch the two of them interact. The way Mark brushed his hand against Tina's shoulder as he reached for the remote, the way she tossed her head back and laughed at something he said, it was all so sickeningly intimate. I wanted to scream, to let them know that I knew, but I stayed silent, a storm brewing inside me, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. That night, as I lay in bed next to Mark, I felt an unsettling calm wash over me. He was snoring softly, completely unaware of the chaos he had created. I realized that I would need to be strategic about this. I couldn't just barge in with accusations. I needed to dismantle their relationship piece by piece, and I had to do it without them ever realizing it was me. As the moonlight spilled into our room, illuminating the space around me, I felt a flicker of excitement. I was no longer just a betrayed wife. I was a woman on a mission. I would play the long game and watch as their world began to crumble, all while keeping my hands clean. This was just the beginning. Revenge would be sweet, and I was ready to savor every moment. The days that followed my discovery were a whirlwind of emotions. I moved through my life like a ghost, smiling and nodding as if everything were normal. I went to work, had coffee with friends, and even shared laughs with Mark and Tina, all while I crafted my revenge in silence. Every interaction felt like a delicate dance, each word I spoke laden with hidden meaning, my heart pounding with the thrill of deception. In the mornings, I would watch Mark get ready for work, that charming smile plastered on his face, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing beneath my composed exterior. Each time he leaned in to kiss me goodbye, I felt a rush of satisfaction. He thought he was winning, living his double life with me completely in the dark. Little did he know, I was already plotting his downfall. It was during one of these seemingly ordinary evenings that everything took an unexpected turn. Mark and I had invited Tina over for dinner again. I had been looking for the right opportunity to subtly distance myself from her and Mark, making it seem like it was all in the name of friendship and support. I wanted to pull the strings of their relationship, guiding it toward a dramatic unraveling without them ever suspecting me. As I prepared dinner, I overheard Mark in the living room, on yet another phone call. My heart raced, and I instinctively strained to hear his words. "I'll make it worth your while," he said, his voice low and conspiratorial. My stomach churned as I strained to listen closer. Who was he talking to this time? Another friend? A coworker? And then I heard it. Tina's name slipped from his lips. "I can't wait for the weekend. Tina, just keep Laura distracted." I froze, my heart pounding in my chest as the implications of his words hit me like a punch to the gut. They were planning something together. This was no casual affair, this was a full-blown operation. They had concocted a scheme to keep me out of the loop, and my blood boiled with indignation. What was I to them? A fool to be manipulated and kept in the dark? I needed to act, but not with anger or confrontation. No, I would double down on my plan, making my act of friendship more pronounced while I tightened the noose around their relationship. Little did they know, the trap was already set. That weekend, as they continued their charade, I devised a clever ploy to execute my plan. Mark had agreed to take me out for a romantic dinner, and I decided it was the perfect time to put my plan into action. I wanted to create a scenario where I could exploit their weaknesses and sow seeds of doubt. As I sat at the table, candlelight flickering between us, I played the role of the perfect wife. "I've been thinking, Mark," I began, my voice soft and inviting. "You know how important it is for us to have couple time, just the two of us? I think we should plan a weekend getaway soon, just you and me." Mark looked up, a hint of surprise in his eyes. "That sounds great, but I think I might be busy this weekend. Tina and I were planning to catch up." The mention of Tina felt like a dagger to my heart, but I forced a smile. "Of course, she's important to you. Just make sure you don't forget about us in the process." His eyes flickered with a moment of guilt, and I could see the wheels turning in his head. He was wrestling with the idea of putting me first, but the pull of his friendship with Tina was stronger than my silent plea. Later that night, as Mark drifted off to sleep, I lay awake, contemplating my next move. I knew I had to play the long game, but I also needed to push their buttons a little further. The following day, I sent a text to Tina, feigning excitement. "Let's have a girls' night. Just us. Mark's been so busy lately." She replied almost instantly, her enthusiasm palpable. "Absolutely. We need to catch up. I miss our late-night chats." The stage was set. I would distract Tina with our girls' night while simultaneously planting doubts in Mark's mind. Little did I know, things were about to take a wild turn. On the night of our planned girls' night, I prepared my home for a delightful evening filled with laughter and drinks. I decorated the living room, pouring wine and setting out snacks, all while pretending I was thrilled about spending time with my best friend. I wanted Tina to feel special and welcomed, as if she were the most important person in the world to me. When she arrived, I welcomed her with open arms, fully embracing the role of the supportive friend. We laughed, shared stories, and reminisced about our childhood. I knew the longer I kept her distracted, the better my plan would work. As the evening progressed, the wine flowed freely, and Tina started to loosen up. "You know, Laura," she said, a little too cheerfully, "I've always thought you and Mark were the perfect couple. I mean, he's so lucky to have you." "Thanks, Tina," I replied, keeping my tone light. "But sometimes, I feel like he could be more present. He's always glued to his phone these days. It's like he has a whole other life he's hiding from me." Tina waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, you know how guys are. They get busy with work and projects. Just give him some time, he loves you." I smiled, but inside, I was grinding my teeth. Does he love me? I thought bitterly. Or does he love the attention of someone who's willing to sneak behind my back? And just as I thought the night couldn't take another turn, Tina's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, her smile faltering for a brief moment. "I need to take this. It's Mark," she said, rising from the couch. As she stepped outside to take the call, my heart raced. This was the moment I had been waiting for. I had no intentions of eavesdropping, but curiosity got the better of me. I crept toward the door, just enough to catch snippets of their conversation. "Tina, I can't wait for the weekend. I've made arrangements for us." Mark's voice was smooth, almost seductive. "Just keep Laura occupied, and we'll have the whole house to ourselves." The words echoed in my ears, fueling the fire of my resolve. My mind raced as I returned to the living room, my heart pounding. I had never felt such a potent mix of anger and exhilaration. They were planning something monumental, something that would change everything. I knew I couldn't let them get away with it. I needed to make my next move count, but first, I had to keep pretending everything was fine. When Tina returned, I plastered a bright smile on my face, welcoming her back as if I hadn't just been crushed by the revelation. "Sorry about that. Mark just wanted to check in," she said, her cheeks flushed from the wine and perhaps a bit from the call. "He misses you, does he?" I replied, a sarcastic undertone barely concealed. "That's sweet of him." The night wore on, laughter filling the air, but all I could think about was how I would take down the two people I once held dear. I was no longer just a betrayed wife, I was a woman scorned, ready to unleash the fury of 1,000 storms. As I closed my eyes that night, the gravity of what I had learned began to sink in. I wasn't just dealing with an affair, I was about to embark on a mission to destroy the very foundation of their relationship, and I would enjoy every moment of it. The sun peeked through the curtains, casting a warm glow in my bedroom, but all I felt was cold determination. The night had passed, and with it, I had made the first critical move in my chess game against Mark and Tina. Now, the next phase of my plan required careful thought and meticulous execution. I wasn't just going to react, I was going to orchestrate their downfall. As I brewed my morning coffee, I allowed myself a moment to relish the potential chaos I was about to unleash. Mark's betrayal felt like an affront to my very existence, and now I had the power to turn the tables. It was time to take charge, to be the puppet master pulling the strings of their twisted little affair. I knew I had to be patient. Revenge is a dish best served cold, after all. I grabbed my notepad, a small, simple item that would become my most trusted companion in the coming weeks. Each page would hold a plan, a strategy, a tactic. I wrote the title at the top, Operation Heartbreak. It was both silly and serious, but it encapsulated my feelings perfectly. I could almost feel the adrenaline pumping through my veins as I began jotting down my ideas. I needed to create space between the two of them while maintaining the facade of friendship. I resolved to make Mark think I was completely absorbed in my life, all while subtly ensuring Tina felt neglected. It would involve strategic outings, coinciding schedules, and, most importantly, a brilliant act of distraction. I decided to invite Tina over for more girl time. This time, I would include an activity that would both intrigue her and allow me to gather information. I texted her, "Hey, I'm planning a little wine and paint night at my place. Just us girls. What do you think?" She responded almost immediately, her excitement radiating through the screen. "That sounds amazing. I'm in." Perfect. This would give me an opportunity to watch her closely, gauge her reactions, and maybe even plant a few seeds of doubt about her relationship with Mark. I needed to find out more about their interactions, particularly how they communicated without arousing my suspicions. I decided I would casually ask Mark about his plans and see how he responded. I was going to create a trap of sorts, a way to monitor his movements while he believed he was in control. That evening, as we shared dinner, I casually leaned in. "So, Mark, what do you have planned for the weekend? Tina mentioned you two were doing something." His face lit up momentarily, but I noticed a flicker of apprehension in his eyes. "Oh, just the usual. We're going to hang out, maybe catch a movie." "Sounds fun," I said, masking my glee with a benign smile. I thought it might be nice to have a date night together. I feel like we haven't had much time for ourselves lately. He shifted in his seat, momentarily taken aback. "Yeah, I guess we've been busy." I knew right then that I had planted a seed of doubt in his mind. He had to decide between me and Tina, and that tension would only work in my favor. Next, I needed to dig deeper into their relationship and find vulnerabilities I could exploit. I remembered a conversation I had with Tina a while back about her struggles with self-esteem. I could use that to my advantage, weaving a narrative that would make her question her worthiness and create a rift between her and Mark. I decided to do a little research. I texted Tina again the next day. "Hey, have you thought about that paint night? I was thinking we could paint some self-portraits. It'll be so much fun." Her enthusiastic response came quickly. "That sounds great. I can't wait." I knew I could use this to my advantage. I would push the envelope, making it about more than just painting. I wanted to stir up insecurities, to remind her of everything she wasn't. I envisioned the scene perfectly, wine glasses clinking, laughter filling the air, and then I would drop the bomb. I would gently steer the conversation toward their relationship, hinting at how fragile it seemed, even while I played the part of the supportive friend. Now, it was time to plan how I would sabotage their relationship without them catching on. It would involve small, seemingly innocent actions that would erode the trust between them. I started by concocting little lies that would intertwine with the truth, planting seeds of doubt. For instance, during our paint night, I could casually mention how Mark had been spending more time on his phone than usual. I mean, I get that he's busy, but I've seen him on his phone a lot when we're together, I would say, feigning concern. Isn't that a little odd? Tina's expression would shift, and I would make a mental note of her reaction. I could already envision her thoughts spiraling. Does he care more about his phone than me? Finally, I had to find a way to create a situation where Mark would question Tina's loyalty. I thought back to the phone call I had overheard. What if I could get Mark to overhear something that would make him doubt her? I decided I would manipulate a casual get-together with friends. I would invite a few acquaintances over, making it seem innocent, but I would plant a carefully chosen friend who could indirectly steer the conversation toward relationships, raising eyebrows and whispers that would catch Mark's attention. I started making a list of mutual friends and acquaintances who could play this part. The more subtle, the better. I wanted them to think it was all a coincidence while I orchestrated their unraveling. As I finalized my plans, I couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement. This wasn't just revenge, it was a calculated game, a chance for me to reclaim my power and assert my worth. I would no longer be the naive woman who stood idly by while her husband cheated on her with her best friend. No, I would emerge as the architect of their demise, a woman who had been wronged but was now ready to rise from the ashes. That night, as I drifted off to sleep, the thrill of my plan sent tingles down my spine. I was ready to execute my revenge. They wouldn't see me coming, and when the storm hit, it would leave them both shattered. The days turned into a blur of laughter and deceit, each moment meticulously crafted to lead Mark and Tina to their inevitable downfall. As I prepared for our paint night, I couldn't shake the thrill coursing through me. I was both nervous and exhilarated, knowing that I was about to unleash a storm they never saw coming. The evening arrived, and my living room was transformed into a vibrant art studio, filled with canvases, paint brushes, and bottles of cheap wine. I put on my best smile, radiating warmth and enthusiasm. It was crucial to keep my facade intact while I worked behind the scenes, the puppet master behind their unraveling. Tina arrived first, her bright energy filling the room. "Wow, this looks amazing," she exclaimed, setting her bag down. "Thanks. I thought it would be a fun way to unwind," I said, pouring us each a glass of wine. "And what better way to celebrate our friendship than through art, right?" Tina laughed, taking a sip of her drink. "You always know how to make things fun." As we started painting, I led the conversation towards our relationships, subtly probing her feelings about Mark. "You know, I was thinking, relationships can be so complicated. It's amazing how you and Mark make it work, but I wonder if sometimes we overlook the signs." Tina paused, her paintbrush hovering over the canvas. "What do you mean?" I feigned innocence, playing my part perfectly. "Oh, you know, like if someone is acting differently or seems distracted. I just think it's important to be aware of how we communicate, you know." I could see the wheels turning in her mind. She was clearly processing my words, and I felt a rush of satisfaction. I continued, planting seeds of doubt with every word. "I mean, Mark is always on his phone. It can't be that interesting, right?" Tina forced a laugh, but I noticed her smile falter. "Yeah, I guess he does spend a lot of time on it." Perfect. The cracks were starting to form, and I was just getting warmed up. As the evening progressed, I invited a couple of friends to join us. They were all in on the plan, ready to play their parts perfectly. The atmosphere shifted from intimate painting to a lively gathering, and I was the center of it all, orchestrating the conversations like a conductor. "Hey, have you guys noticed how Mark has been acting lately?" one of my friends asked casually. "I heard from someone that he's been out a lot more than usual." The conversation took off, fueled by alcohol and whispers of speculation. I watched as Tina's face shifted, her confidence crumbling under the weight of our insinuations. The laughter morphed into pointed glances, and I reveled in the chaos I was orchestrating. "I mean, it's normal for guys to be busy, but you'd think he'd want to spend more time with his girlfriend, right?" another friend chimed in, feigning concern. Tina shifted uncomfortably, her expression shifting from amused to worried. "Yeah, maybe. I just thought he was working more." I leaned in, feigning sympathy. "You know, it's totally normal to have concerns in a relationship. Maybe you should talk to him." It's important to keep the lines of communication open. As the night wore on, the conversations escalated, and the atmosphere grew increasingly tense. I made sure to steer things toward personal stories of relationships gone awry, each tale planting more seeds of doubt. I could see it in her eyes, she was beginning to question everything. The painting revelation. As we painted, the topic of our artwork came up. I made a deliberate point to create a little competition among us. Why don't we all paint self-portraits? I suggested. Let's see who captures the essence of who we are the best. Everyone cheered, and Tina's enthusiasm returned, but I saw the flicker of doubt still in her gaze. As we began painting our portraits, I kept throwing in comments designed to provoke insecurity. I want mine to show my strength, I said, pretending to focus on my strokes. I think it's important to show that we're empowered women who deserve respect. Tina nodded along, but I noticed her smile was strained. She began to paint with a fierce intensity, clearly battling with her insecurities. Halfway through the night, I staged my masterstroke. Hey, I think I'll take a picture of our paintings. It'll be fun to look back on this night, I announced, grabbing my phone. Great idea, my friends chimed in. I snapped a photo of everyone, but as I turned the camera toward Tina, I posed a question. Tina, can you give me your best smile? Just like how you looked when Mark first asked you out. She hesitated, the smile faltering as I clicked the shutter. It was a moment that encapsulated her uncertainty, and I knew it would haunt her later. Perfect, I exclaimed, saving the image in my phone's gallery. I can't wait to share it with everyone. That moment, that picture, would be my insurance. I would send it to Mark anonymously, showing him just how broken she was and hinting that she might not be as devoted as he thought. Mark's arrival. Just as the tension peaked, Mark walked in, cheerful and unsuspecting. Hey, ladies, what's going on? He looked around, noting the atmosphere. Just some wine and paint, I chirped, feigning innocence. Join us. He sat down, clearly oblivious to the emotional minefield surrounding him. I casually mentioned the portraits, and as the evening unfolded, I could see his perception shift. The way he looked at Tina, the way she fidgeted, and the conversations that danced around their relationship, it was all building to a climax. I wanted him to see the cracks, to question everything. As the night wore on, I strategically dropped little hints about her behavior, trying to stoke the fire of doubt. You know, I overheard a conversation that just didn't sound right about Mark's plans this weekend, I said, pretending to be concerned. I hope everything's okay. Tina's expression shifted, and I could see Mark's eyebrows furrow with confusion. What do you mean? Oh, nothing. Just girl talk, I said, dismissively. But it does make you wonder sometimes, doesn't it? The tension crackled in the air, and I could see the fear creeping into Tina's eyes. My heart raced with the excitement of watching their world start to crumble. The unraveling begins. As the night continued, I could sense the subtle changes in their dynamic. The laughter had turned into forced smiles, the light-hearted banter into awkward silences. I excused myself to the kitchen, where I couldn't help but smile at my handiwork. The next day, I planned to send that picture to Mark, the one that captured Tina's doubt, the one that would turn his world upside down. As I poured myself another glass of wine, I felt a mix of satisfaction and anticipation. I picked up my phone, fingers hovering over the photo, and then a thought struck me. What if I could do more? What if I could ignite a confrontation that would drive a wedge between them even faster? I quickly concocted a text. Hey, Mark, just wanted to check in and see if you're good. I've been hearing some things about Tina lately. You know I'm always here for you, right? I hit send, and a rush of adrenaline coursed through me. I was setting the stage for the grand finale, the moment when everything would come crashing down. That night, as I lay in bed, I could almost hear the ticking clock of their impending disaster. My heart raced with excitement, a sinister glee bubbling within me. This was just the beginning, and I was ready to watch their relationship implode. The aftermath of that fateful paint night unfolded like a slow-motion disaster, each day revealing new layers of betrayal, confusion, and chaos. It was as if I had unleashed a storm, and now I was here to watch the whirlwind rip through their lives. The morning after my cleverly crafted text, I awoke to a mix of anxiety and excitement. The anticipation of the fallout had me buzzing with energy. I couldn't wait to see how Mark would react to my subtle sabotage. Would he confront Tina? Would he realize the truth? I felt like a puppeteer, and they were the marionettes dancing to my tune. The unexpected phone call. I received a phone call from Mark around 10 a.m. My heart raced as I answered. Hey, it's me, he said, his voice shaky. Can we talk? Of course. What's up? I feigned innocence, trying to mask my thrill with concern. I got your text yesterday, he started, pausing as if gathering his thoughts. What did you mean when you said you heard things about Tina? I leaned against the kitchen counter, casually swirling my coffee. Oh, you know how it is. Just some whispers from friends. I thought you should know that people are talking. Talking about what? He pressed, frustration lacing his voice. I felt a surge of satisfaction. Well, let's just say some people think she's been a little too friendly with others. There was a moment of silence, the tension thickening between us. I could practically hear the gears in his mind turning. "What do you mean?" he finally asked, his voice low. "It's just rumors, Mark." I didn't want to say anything without knowing for sure. "But you know how these things go. Friends of friends." He sighed, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. "I appreciate you looking out for me, but this feels a bit off." "Just be careful," I said, allowing my voice to drop to a whisper. "You know I care about you. I'd hate to see you get hurt." After we hung up, I leaned back against the counter, a satisfied smile creeping across my lips. I had planted the seed of doubt, and it was starting to sprout. Little did I know, the real drama was just around the corner, the confrontation. Later that day, I heard from a mutual friend that Mark had confronted Tina. I could barely contain my glee. She was at her apartment, and Mark showed up unannounced, demanding answers about her recent behavior. I watched from a distance, feeling like an ominous ghost haunting the edges of their lives. "Mark, what are you talking about?" Tina's voice echoed through the open window. "You know I love you, do you?" Mark's voice was filled with anger and confusion. "Because it seems like you're always too busy with your friends to care about me. Is there something you're not telling me?" "I don't understand what's happening," she cried. "Why would you say that?" I could see through the glass as she paced the room, her expression morphing from shock to desperation. Mark stood, arms crossed, his frustration palpable. "Why do you think? I'm hearing things, Tina. People are saying you're acting differently. I feel like I don't even know you anymore." Her response was muffled, but the distress in her voice was clear. I savored every moment, knowing I was the catalyst for their unraveling. The twist unfolds. Just when I thought the confrontation would lead to a dramatic end, a twist I hadn't anticipated changed everything. Mark, in his fury, revealed something that sent shockwaves through me. "You know, I saw your messages," he blurted out, his eyes narrowing. "The ones you sent to some guy on Instagram. I saw how flirty you were being." I gasped, the thrill of the moment suddenly replaced with fear. I hadn't planned for this. What if Tina turned the tables on me? What if she accused me of sabotaging her? The look of betrayal on Tina's face was devastating. "You were snooping on my phone," she yelled, eyes wide with disbelief. "I'm not the one hiding things. You're the one who's been secretive. Stop, both of you," I whispered to myself, feeling the walls of my perfectly crafted plan begin to close in. I had orchestrated this entire scenario, but now I felt the heat of the moment burning me alive. Tina's rage. I had underestimated Tina. She was fierce and determined, and as Mark's accusations hung in the air, her anger boiled over. "You think you can just come here and throw accusations around? Who do you think you are?" She began to pace, her hands balled into fists. "I trusted you, Mark. I thought we were building a life together. But you're just going to throw everything away based on some whispers? Maybe I should be the one questioning you." Mark's face twisted with confusion and hurt. "What does that mean?" I could see the panic in Tina's eyes as she realized she was losing control. She took a deep breath, the wheels clearly turning in her mind. "You want to know what's been going on? Why don't you ask your best friend what she's really been up to?" My stomach dropped. She was going to play that card? I could feel the ground beneath me shift as I realized my cover might be blown. "Are you seriously trying to pin this on her?" Mark shot back, his voice rising. "That's not fair, Tina. You're the one who has been acting shady." "I'm acting shady?" Tina's voice trembled with emotion. "Maybe you're the one who's too busy to see what's happening right under your nose." The fallout. The next few days felt like an eternity. I kept waiting for the fallout, but it didn't come in the way I anticipated. Instead of confronting me, Mark began to withdraw from both of us. He wouldn't return my calls or texts, leaving me to ponder the consequences of my actions. Then, to my shock, Tina reached out to me. "Can we talk?" she texted one night, her words laced with a mix of fear and anger. I hesitated but ultimately agreed. "Sure, let's meet." When she arrived, I feigned innocence. "What's going on, Tina? I thought we were okay." She threw her hands up in exasperation. "You really don't see it, do you? You've been playing both sides, and it's only a matter of time before it all falls apart." "Playing both sides? I just want to support you," I protested, trying to sound genuinely concerned. "You think I don't know what you're doing?" Her voice was low and dangerous. "Mark isn't the only one who can read between the lines. You think you're so clever, but you're just a coward hiding behind your manipulations." I could feel the tension crackle in the air, and the walls I had so carefully built began to close in on me. "I just wanted to protect you," I whispered, but it sounded weak even to my own ears. The final showdown. In that moment, everything came crashing down. I had played my hand too long, and now the very foundation of my revenge was crumbling. You think you're going to ruin my life? Tina sneered. I'll make sure everyone knows the truth. Just then, Mark barged into the room, his face flushed with rage. Tina, you need to hear this. I held my breath, anticipating the worst. Would you reveal my role in all this? Tina, I'm done with the games, he said, glaring at her. If you've been flirting with other guys, then we need to end this. Tina's expression shifted to one of disbelief. You're throwing me away based on rumors? This is ridiculous. Maybe we both need some time apart, he said, his voice cold and final. I felt a thrill of victory and fear at the same time. I had wanted to tear them apart, but now I was standing on the edge of losing everything. Mark was pulling away, and I didn't know how to salvage my position. The aftermath. After that night, everything spiraled. Mark cut off all communication with Tina, and I suddenly found myself trapped between two worlds. My plan had worked, but not in the way I had envisioned. The chaos I had orchestrated was now consuming me. Mark eventually reached out, but it wasn't for the reasons I had hoped. I need to talk, he said, his voice distant. We met at our favorite coffee shop, but the warmth between us was gone. I'm done with the drama, he said. I need to move on. The sting of rejection cut deep, but a part of me understood. I had played with fire and burned everything to the ground. What about us? I asked, desperation creeping into my voice. There is no us anymore, he replied, looking away. Not after everything that happened. I felt a wave of regret wash over me, the reality of my actions hitting hard. I had lost my best friend, the man I loved, and the connection we once shared. A bitter reflection. In the days that followed, I found myself alone, contemplating the mess I had created. I had orchestrated a plan for revenge, but in the end, I was the one left in the ashes. I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal, not just from Mark and Tina, but from myself. My desire for revenge had spiraled out of control, and I was left with nothing but the remnants of a life that once felt secure and loving. As the days turned into weeks, I fell into a cycle of reflection. I spent countless hours replaying every moment, every choice that led me to this point. I had been so blinded by anger and hurt that I lost sight of the real connections in my life. I had sacrificed my marriage and my friendship for a fleeting sense of satisfaction. Confronting my feelings. One evening, I sat alone on my couch, the television flickering in the background, but I couldn't focus on anything. My phone buzzed with notifications, but they felt empty, devoid of meaning. I realized how isolated I had become. I thought about the laughter Mark and I used to share, the way he would bring me coffee in bed on lazy Sunday mornings, and how Tina had always been the sister I never had. Now, both of them were gone from my life. I had become a ghost of the person I used to be, and it was all because of my misguided quest for revenge. Feeling overwhelmed, I picked up my phone and scrolled through my contacts. Should I reach out to one of my other friends? Someone who could help me make sense of all this? As I hesitated, a message from Tina popped up on the screen. The unexpected message. Can we talk? I know things got out of hand. I want to clear the air. My heart raced as I read the message. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to continue building my fortress of solitude, but another part of me felt an undeniable pull to confront the truth. I texted back, agreeing to meet. The following evening, we met at a small cafe. The atmosphere was tense, each of us acutely aware of the past few weeks that had unfolded. Tina, I began, trying to find the right words. I'm really sorry for how things turned out. I never meant for any of this to happen. I know, she replied, her eyes betraying a mix of hurt and understanding. But you have to realize, Mark and we had something special before all of this blew up. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was just trying to navigate my feelings. Were you really? I shot back, my voice sharper than I intended. You didn't think about how it would affect me? How it would affect our friendship? I didn't think it would get this far, she admitted, her voice trembling. But when you started pulling away, it made me feel like I was losing you too. I don't know what happened. An honest conversation. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of our feelings heavy in the air. Finally, I took a deep breath. I've realized that I let my anger consume me. I thought I could get back at you both by sabotaging your relationship, but it only left me feeling empty. Tina looked at me, her expression softening. I'm sorry, too. I should have come to you instead of letting things spiral. Can we start over? I miss my best friend. I hesitated, the wound still fresh, but something in her eyes told me she was sincere. I miss you too, but it's going to take time. I don't want to rush into things. Of course, she replied, a hint of relief washing over her face. I understand. Forging a new path. Over the next few weeks, we took small steps to rebuild our friendship. We met for coffee, attended yoga classes together, and slowly began to let down the walls we had both built. The road to healing was slow and filled with awkward moments, but it was also liberating. I learned to forgive myself for my actions, understanding that anger often leads to rash decisions. As I embraced this new chapter in my life, I felt stronger. I sought therapy to unpack the chaos I had created, not only in my relationships but also within myself. Tina and I had honest conversations about our experiences and what we wanted moving forward. We talked about the lessons we had learned and the importance of communication and honesty in relationships. A new understanding. Months passed, and I found peace in my life once again. Tina and I had forged a new friendship based on mutual respect and understanding. I began dating again, learning to open my heart and trust again, even if it took time. Mark, on the other hand, chose to move on from both of us. I heard through mutual friends that he had started a new relationship, but I felt no bitterness, only a sense of closure. I wished him well, acknowledging that we both had made mistakes, and perhaps it was for the best. Lessons learned. Reflecting on everything that had happened, I realized that revenge had only led me to a dark path filled with loneliness and regret. Forgiveness, however, had opened doors to healing, understanding, and ultimately, love, both for myself and others. The true lesson I learned was that while the desire for revenge can feel justified, it rarely leads to the satisfaction we crave. Instead, it is in compassion, communication, and honesty that we find the strength to rise above our pain and reconnect with those we truly care about. As I sat in my living room one evening, sipping tea and laughing with Tina, I felt a wave of gratitude wash over me. Life had thrown me into chaos, but I emerged with a deeper understanding of friendship, love, and the importance of staying true to oneself. In the end, I didn't just reclaim my life, I transformed it, embracing the beauty of second chances and the power of forgiveness. My heart was finally at peace.